The coffee in Sergeant Mike Torres's cup had gone cold hours ago, but he kept gripping it like an anchor to reality. The forward operating base in Afghanistan's Kunar province buzzed with its usual controlled chaos, but something felt different today. Rangers moved with purpose, yet their conversations carried an undertone he couldn't quite place. Whispers followed by meaningful glances, nods of acknowledgement that seemed to carry weight beyond their usual military efficiency. "You hear about the ghost?" Private Johnson asked, sliding into the seat across from Torres in the mess tent. His voice carried that mixture of skepticism and hope that combat veterans learn to balance when discussing anything that seemed too good to be true. Torres raised an eyebrow. "What ghost?" "Sniper. Operating somewhere in the northern valleys. Word is she's been taking out high-value targets that our boys couldn't get close to." Johnson leaned forward, lowering his voice despite the ambient noise around them. "Taliban commanders who've been slipping through our fingers for months." The skepticism in Torres's expression must have shown, because Johnson quickly continued. "I'm not talking about some urban legend here, Sarge. Lieutenant Coleman got word through channels. Real intelligence. Real confirmed kills." Torres had served 3 tours in Afghanistan and 2 in Iraq. He'd seen enough to know that legends grew quickly in combat zones, fed by hope, exhaustion, and the human need to believe in something greater than the grinding reality of asymmetrical warfare. But he'd also learned to listen when multiple sources started telling similar stories. "What makes this different from every other sniper story that gets passed around?" Torres asked, though his tone suggested genuine curiosity rather than dismissal. "Distance," Johnson said simply. "Shots that our own snipers say shouldn't be possible. Environmental conditions that would make most marksmen pack up and wait for better weather. And targets that require intelligence gathering that goes beyond anything we've seen from irregular forces." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez, whose expression carried the weight of someone who'd just received significant intelligence. She approached their table with the measured stride of someone processing important information. "Torres, Johnson, you're both on the afternoon briefing roster," she announced, but her tone suggested this wasn't routine personnel management. "Command wants to discuss some developments in our area of operations." After Rodriguez moved on to other duties, Torres and Johnson exchanged glances. Briefings that pulled personnel from multiple units usually meant something significant was developing. In their experience, that could mean anything from a major operation to a fundamental change in their understanding of the tactical situation. The afternoon briefing took place in the command tent, where Major Harrison stood before a detailed topographical map marked with various colored pins and tactical overlays. The assembled Rangers represented different specializations, from reconnaissance to explosives, but they all shared the focused attention of professionals who understood that information could mean the difference between mission success and casualties. "Gentlemen, we've been tracking some unusual activity in the northern valleys," Major Harrison began, his tone carrying the authority of someone who'd verified his information through multiple channels. "Over the past 6 weeks, we've documented the elimination of 17 Taliban commanders and operational leaders. High-value targets that our intelligence had identified, but couldn't effectively engage due to their security protocols and operational patterns." The major moved to point at specific locations on the map, each marked with red pins that seemed to follow a pattern across the difficult terrain of the Afghan mountains. These eliminations show tactical planning and execution capabilities that exceed what we typically see from local friendly forces. The precision suggests advanced training, superior equipment, and intelligence gathering abilities that warrant our attention. Private Martinez, one of the reconnaissance specialists, raised his hand. "Sir, are we talking about a new unit that's been deployed without our knowledge? Special operations that we're not cleared to know about?" Major Harrison's expression showed he'd expected this question. "That was our initial assumption, Martinez. We've checked with every friendly unit operating in this region. No special operations, no new deployments, no classified missions that would account for this level of activity." The silence in the tent carried the weight of implications that every experienced soldier understood. If friendly forces weren't responsible, and if the Taliban didn't possess this level of capability, then someone else was operating in their area with skills that exceeded standard military training. What's the intelligence on methodology, sir? Sergeant Torres asked. Are we talking about traditional sniper tactics, or something that suggests different training backgrounds? The major consulted his briefing notes before responding. Long-range precision shooting, but with variations that suggest adaptation to extreme environmental conditions. Targets engaged during weather that would typically prevent effective sniper operations. Movement patterns that indicate detailed knowledge of both terrain and enemy security protocols. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez spoke up from her position near the map. Sir, the distances involved in some of these confirmed kills exceed what we typically achieve with standard military sniper systems. Are we looking at upgraded equipment or training that goes beyond conventional military programs? Major Harrison nodded, acknowledging the technical implications of her question. The ballistics analysis suggests either exceptional skill with standard systems or access to equipment that exceeds typical military specifications. In either case, we're dealing with capabilities that represent a significant tactical advantage. The briefing continued with detailed analysis of enemy movement patterns, terrain considerations, and the strategic implications of continued high-value target elimination. But for many of the Rangers present, the technical details mattered less than the underlying question that nobody wanted to voice directly. Someone was operating in their area with skills that exceeded their own capabilities, using methods that their training hadn't prepared them to analyze, achieving results that their own operations had struggled to accomplish. Whether that represented an asset or a potential threat depended on factors that remained unclear. As the briefing concluded and Rangers filed out to return to their duties, the conversations that followed carried a different tone than the morning's casual speculation. This wasn't legend or rumor anymore. This was verified intelligence that demanded tactical consideration and strategic planning. Torres walked back toward his quarters with Johnson, both men processing the information they'd received. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the compound, and the routine sounds of military activity seemed somehow more significant against the backdrop of their new awareness. "So what do you think, Sarge?" Johnson asked as they reached the intersection where their paths would diverge toward different areas of the compound. Torres considered the question carefully before responding. In his experience, the most important tactical lessons often came from situations that challenged existing assumptions and required adaptation to new realities. "I think we're about to learn something important about this war," he said finally, "and I think we'd better be ready to adjust our understanding based on what we discover." That evening, as Torres wrote in his journal, he tried to capture the significance of the day's developments without overstating their implications. The military had taught him to document observations accurately, but his personal experience had taught him to pay attention to moments when conventional wisdom encountered unexplained realities. The ghost sniper, as Johnson had called her, represented something that their training manuals hadn't prepared them to analyze. Whether that something would prove to be an asset, a complication, or a fundamental change in their tactical environment remained to be determined. What Torres knew for certain was that tomorrow's operations would be conducted with awareness that someone else was engaged in the same mission, using methods that exceeded their own capabilities, achieving results that their own efforts had struggled to match. In military terms, that represented both opportunity and responsibility. The Rangers would adapt, as they always did. But tonight, in the quiet moments before sleep, Torres found himself wondering about the person behind the legend, and what circumstances had brought such exceptional capabilities to bear in the mountains of Afghanistan. Outside his quarters, the compound settled into its nighttime rhythm of security patrols and monitoring systems, while in the northern valleys, the tactical situation continued to evolve in ways that would soon demand direct engagement with realities that exceeded their current understanding. The miracle the Rangers had been discussing in hushed voices was about to become something more immediate, more challenging, and more significant than any of them had anticipated. The radio crackled to life at 0347 hours, pulling Lieutenant Sarah Chun from the light sleep that passed for rest in forward positions. The voice belonged to Corporal Davis, whose night watch position offered the best surveillance of the northern approach routes to their temporary observation post. "Movement on the ridgeline," Davis reported, his voice carrying the controlled tension of someone who'd spotted something significant. "Single individual, moving with purpose. Professional movement patterns." Chun grabbed her binoculars and moved to Davis's position, where the enhanced night vision equipment provided clear visibility across the valley floor and up the steep terrain that dominated their operational area. The figure moving along the distant ridgeline showed none of the casual movement patterns typical of local civilians or the tactical formations they'd learned to associate with Taliban fighters. "Range?" Chin asked, adjusting her equipment to track the movement. "Approximately 800 meters, moving southeast along the ridge," Davis responded, maintaining his observation while providing the technical details that would inform their tactical response. "Equipment suggests military training. Weapon configuration consistent with precision shooting systems." Through her binoculars, Chun could make out the distinctive outline of a high-end sniper rifle, the kind of equipment that represented serious investment in capability and training. The figure moved with the confident efficiency of someone thoroughly familiar with the terrain and comfortable operating alone in hostile territory. "Any support elements visible?" she asked, scanning the surrounding area for signs of additional personnel or security teams that would typically accompany such operations. Davis continued his systematic observation of the area before responding. "Negative. Single operator, moving independently. No communication equipment visible. No support personnel in the immediate area." The tactical implications were significant. Professional snipers typically operated with spotter support, communication systems, and security elements that would provide backup and coordination with larger operations. Someone operating alone with advanced equipment suggested either exceptional confidence in their capabilities or circumstances that required independent action. Chun activated her communication system to report the observation to their command element, but before she could complete the transmission, Davis's urgent whisper stopped her. "Target acquired," Davis said quietly. 800 meters northeast, near the communications relay we've been trying to neutralize for 2 weeks. Chun shifted her observation to the location Davis indicated, where their intelligence had identified a Taliban communication post that had been directing attacks against coalition forces throughout the region. Multiple attempts to eliminate the position had failed due to its defensive positioning and the technical challenges of engaging targets at that range under difficult environmental conditions. The figure on the ridgeline had stopped moving and assumed a shooting position that demonstrated familiarity with advanced marksmanship techniques. The stance, equipment positioning, and methodical preparation suggested training that exceeded standard military programs. "Wind conditions?" Chun asked, automatically running through the environmental factors that would affect long-range precision shooting. Davis consulted his equipment before responding. "Gusting to 15 knots, variable direction. Temperature differential significant due to altitude variation. Not ideal conditions for precision work." Chun understood the technical implications. The environmental conditions that made this location strategically valuable for observation and communication also made it extremely challenging for precision shooting. The wind patterns, temperature variations, and atmospheric density changes required computational skills and equipment capabilities that pushed the limits of standard military training. Through her binoculars, she watched the distant figure make minute adjustments to weapon positioning, accounting for environmental factors with the methodical precision of someone whose training had prepared them for exactly these conditions. The process took several minutes, during which Chun found herself holding her breath despite the professional distance of observation. The shot, when it came, produced no visible flash or dramatic effect that would be apparent from their observation position. But within seconds, their communication intercept equipment registered the sudden silence from the Taliban communication post that had been transmitting routine traffic just moments before. Target eliminated, Davis confirmed through his long-range observation equipment. Communication post is down. No activity visible in the target area. Chun watched the figure on the ridgeline pack their equipment with the same methodical efficiency they demonstrated in preparation, then begin movement away from the shooting position with tactical awareness that suggested thorough familiarity with post-engagement protocols. The elimination of the communication post represented a significant tactical victory that their own units had been unable to achieve despite multiple attempts and considerable resource investment. Watching it accomplished by a single operator under challenging conditions provided a sobering perspective on the capabilities they were observing. "Should we attempt to make contact?" Davis asked, raising the question that Chun had been considering since the beginning of their observation. The decision carried significant implications. Making contact with an unknown operator could provide valuable intelligence and potential coordination opportunities, but it could also compromise their own position and create complications if the individual proved to be operating outside official channels. Chun considered their tactical situation carefully before responding. "Negative. We maintain observation and continue our mission, but we document everything for intelligence analysis." Over the following hours, Chun and Davis maintained their watch while systematically recording their observations in the detailed format required for intelligence evaluation. The documentation would provide command with the technical analysis needed to assess both the capabilities they'd witnessed and the tactical implications for future operations. As dawn approached, their observation post received priority communication from their command element, indicating that intelligence from multiple sources was being consolidated to develop a comprehensive understanding of recent developments in their area of operations. "Chun, this is command," came the voice of Major Harrison through their secure communication system. "We need detailed debrief on your overnight observations. Priority intelligence assessment indicates coordination with larger operational planning." The debrief took place via encrypted communication while Chun and Davis maintained their observation position, providing command with the technical details and tactical analysis that would inform broader strategic decisions. Their observations joined information from other sources to create a comprehensive picture of capabilities and activities that exceeded previous intelligence assessments. "Roger, Command." Chun responded after completing her report. "Recommend continued observation of northern approach routes. Activity patterns suggest ongoing operations in our area." The response from Command carried implications that extended beyond their immediate tactical situation. "Affirmative, Chun. Be advised that your area of operations may be designated for expanded reconnaissance activities. Prepare for potential mission modification." As morning established full visibility across their observation area, Chun and Davis settled into the routine of systematic surveillance that characterized forward reconnaissance operations. But their previous night's observations had fundamentally changed their understanding of the tactical environment they were operating within. Someone with exceptional capabilities was conducting operations that aligned with coalition objectives, using methods that exceeded standard military training, achieving results that represented significant tactical advantages. Whether that someone could be contacted, coordinated with, or incorporated in a broader operational planning remained to be determined. What Chun knew for certain was that their mission had evolved beyond simple observation and reporting. They were now conducting intelligence, gathering on capabilities that could fundamentally alter the tactical balance in their area of operations, with implications that would influence strategic planning at levels far above their immediate command structure. The ghost sniper that Rangers had been discussing in whispered conversations was proving to be something more substantial and more significant than legend or rumor. The evidence was mounting that someone with extraordinary skills was operating in their area, conducting missions that supported coalition objectives while maintaining independence that raised as many questions as it answered. Chun documented her final observations of the morning in her mission log, knowing that her words would contribute to intelligence assessments that might influence operational decisions affecting hundreds of personnel and strategic outcomes that extended far beyond their immediate tactical situation. The mystery was deepening, but the evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. Soon, command would need to make decisions about how to respond to capabilities that exceeded their own, conducted by someone whose identity and objectives remained unknown, but whose effectiveness was becoming undeniable. In the northern valleys of Afghanistan, the tactical situation was evolving in ways that would soon demand direct engagement with realities that challenged conventional understanding of their operational environment. Captain Marcus Reed had seen enough combat to recognize when intelligence reports described something beyond normal operational parameters. Sitting in the briefing room at Bagram Air Base, surrounded by maps marked with increasing numbers of red pins, he studied the pattern that had emerged over 8 weeks of documented activities. 17 confirmed eliminations, Intelligence Officer Captain Williams said, addressing the assembled Special Operations personnel. All high-value targets that we'd identified, but couldn't effectively engage due to security protocols, environmental conditions, or tactical positioning. Reed examined the photographs of eliminated Taliban commanders, each representing months of intelligence gathering and operational planning that had struggled to produce actionable opportunities. Someone had accomplished in 8 weeks what their combined efforts had been working toward for nearly a year. "What's the assessment of methodology?" asked Master Sergeant Thompson, whose Delta Force background gave him expertise in unconventional operations. "Are we looking at special operations that we're not cleared to know about?" Captain Williams consulted classified intelligence reports before responding. "We verified with all friendly units, including special operations, at every classification level. No official operations account for this activity pattern." The silence in the room carried the weight of implications that every operator understood. If official channels weren't responsible, then someone was conducting precision operations in their area using capabilities that exceeded standard military training and equipment. Reed raised his hand. "What about equipment analysis? Can we determine what systems are being used?" "Ballistics analysis indicates precision shooting capabilities that exceed standard military sniper systems," Williams replied, activating a presentation that showed technical details. "Effective range, environmental adaptability, and target selection suggest either upgraded equipment or exceptional skill with conventional systems." The technical analysis revealed shooting distances that pushed the boundaries of what their own snipers considered achievable under ideal conditions. More significantly, the environmental conditions during documented engagements included weather patterns that would typically prevent effective precision shooting operations. Wind speeds up to 20 knots, temperature variations of 40 degrees, atmospheric pressure changes due to altitude variations, Williams continued, highlighting the environmental challenges. "Our own marksmen consider these conditions prohibitive for precision work at the ranges involved." Sergeant First Class Martinez, whose sniper specialty gave him direct expertise in the technical requirements, studied the data with professional interest. "Sir, these conditions require computational capabilities and equipment specifications that go beyond standard training. Are we looking at advanced technology or training programs that exceed conventional military education?" The question highlighted the fundamental challenge they faced in analyzing the intelligence. Either someone had access to equipment that surpassed their own systems, or someone possessed training that exceeded their own capabilities, or both factors were contributing to results they couldn't match. Captain Reed examined the tactical implications carefully. "What's the assessment of tactical intelligence? How is targeting information being acquired?" Williams activated another presentation that showed the complexity of intelligence gathering required for the documented operations. Each eliminated target required detailed knowledge of movement patterns, security protocols, and tactical vulnerabilities that typically take months of surveillance to develop. The targets had included Taliban commanders who changed locations frequently, used sophisticated counter-surveillance techniques, and maintained security protocols that made approach and engagement extremely difficult. Eliminating them required not only exceptional shooting skills, but intelligence gathering capabilities that suggested extensive operational planning. Timeline analysis shows that intelligence development and target engagement are occurring faster than our own operational cycles. Williams continued. Someone is gathering intelligence, planning operations, and executing missions with efficiency that exceeds our standard protocols. Master Sergeant Thompson leaned forward with the focused attention of someone whose experience had taught him to recognize significant tactical developments. Are we talking about a single operator or a team with capabilities we haven't identified? The intelligence assessment included analysis of movement patterns, equipment transportation, and operational logistics that would typically require multiple personnel to accomplish effectively. But observation reports consistently described single individuals conducting operations independently. Pattern analysis suggests individual operations, Williams replied. No support elements observed, no communication with external coordination, no logistic support visible during engagement phases. Reed processed the implications of someone operating alone while achieving results that their own team-based operations had struggled to accomplish. The tactical challenges of independent operation in hostile territory typically required either exceptional training or circumstances that demanded self-sufficiency. What about identification? Reed asked, "Do we have any intelligence on who we're dealing with?" Williams's expression indicated that identification had proven challenging despite extensive analysis. Limited visual confirmation due to operational distances and environmental conditions. Professional movement patterns suggest military training. Equipment configuration indicates advanced technical education. The briefing continued with detailed analysis of terrain considerations, enemy response patterns, and the strategic implications of continued high-value target elimination. But for Reed, the central question remained the identity and objectives of someone whose capabilities exceeded their own. Following the briefing, Reed found himself in conversation with Master Sergeant Thompson and Sergeant First Class Martinez, three professionals whose combined experience represented decades of special operations and precision shooting expertise. "What's your assessment?" Reed asked, valuing the practical insights that came from operational experience rather than theoretical analysis. Thompson considered the question carefully before responding. Someone with exceptional training is conducting operations that support our objectives while maintaining independence that raises questions about command structure and coordination. Martinez added his technical perspective. The shooting capabilities we're seeing require training that goes beyond standard military programs. Either someone has access to advanced education, or they've developed skills through experience that exceeds conventional development. Reed nodded, understanding that his colleagues were describing capabilities that represented either exceptional individual development or training programs that exceeded their own military education. In either case, they were dealing with someone whose skills surpassed standard operational parameters. That afternoon, Reed received tasking that reflected command's decision to engage more directly with the developing situation. His team would be deployed to the northern valleys to conduct reconnaissance and intelligence gathering focused on identifying and potentially making contact with the unknown operator. The mission briefing emphasized the importance of positive identification while maintaining tactical caution. Command wanted answers, but they also recognized that someone with documented capabilities represented either significant operational asset or potential security concern. Primary objective is identification and assessment, Reed explained to his team during their mission preparation. Secondary objective is establishing communication if tactical situation permits. The deployment would place Reed's team in the same operational area where the documented activities had occurred, providing them with first-hand opportunity to observe and analyze capabilities that intelligence reports had struggled to fully characterize. As Reed reviewed maps and planned approach routes, he found himself anticipating an encounter with someone whose skills had earned the respect of rangers, who typically reserve their admiration for proven warriors. The whispered conversations about miracles were about to be tested against the reality of direct observation. The helicopter flight to their insertion point provided Reed with aerial perspective of the terrain where someone had been conducting operations that exceeded standard military capabilities. The mountains and valleys below offered both strategic advantages and tactical challenges that would test the skills of even exceptional operators. Looking down at the landscape where legend was becoming reality, Reed prepared for a mission that would either confirm the extraordinary capabilities they'd been tracking or reveal that their intelligence had overlooked conventional explanations for seemingly exceptional results. In either case, his team was about to engage directly with mysteries that had captured the attention of command structures throughout their area of operations. The ghost sniper that Rangers discussed in hushed conversations was about to encounter the full attention of special operations personnel whose job was to separate fact from legend. The insertion had gone smoothly, but Captain Reed knew that the easy part was behind them. His four-man reconnaissance team now occupied a concealed observation position in the northern valleys, where intelligence suggested they were most likely to encounter the unknown operator whose activities had been creating tactical advantages throughout the region. Sergeant First Class Martinez adjusted his spotting scope and reviewed the terrain features that dominated their area of operations. The landscape offered countless positions suitable for precision shooting, but it also provided equal opportunities for concealment and movement that would make tracking a single individual extremely challenging. Wind patterns are consistent with previous intelligence, Martinez reported quietly, understanding that environmental conditions would influence both their observation capabilities and any shooting opportunities they might witness. Visibility good, atmospheric conditions stable. Reed acknowledged the report while continuing his systematic surveillance of approach routes and potential firing positions. Their mission required them to locate and observe someone who had demonstrated ability to operate undetected in this same terrain while achieving results that their own capabilities had struggled to match. Movement, Northeast Ridge, whispered Specialist Jackson, whose responsibility for perimeter security had trained him to detect subtle changes in their environment. Single, individual, professional movement patterns. Reed shifted his observation to the indicated location, where his binoculars revealed a figure moving with the confident efficiency they'd learned to associate with advanced military training. The individual carried equipment that confirmed the intelligence reports about precision shooting capabilities. Range approximately 600 meters, Reed estimated, tracking the movement while assessing tactical options for observation and potential contact. Moving toward elevated position overlooking the valley floor. The figure established a shooting position with methodical precision that demonstrated familiarity with advanced marksmanship techniques. Reed watched the preparation process, noting the attention to environmental factors and equipment positioning that suggested training far beyond standard military education. Through his scope, Reed observed the systematic process of range estimation, atmospheric condition assessment, and equipment adjustment that preceded precision shooting operations. The individual's methodology showed discipline and technical competence that earned professional respect even from a distance. Target area, valley floor, Martinez identified, following the direction of the distant operator's attention. Taliban patrol for individuals, moving through the sector we've been unable to effectively engage. Reed shifted his observation to confirm Martinez's identification, where 4 Taliban fighters moved through terrain features that provided them with concealment from most observation positions. The tactical challenge of engaging this patrol had been discussed in their briefing as an example of targets that required capabilities beyond standard approaches. The environmental conditions included wind gusts that would affect projectile trajectory, temperature variations that influenced atmospheric density, and range requirements that pushed the limits of conventional precision shooting. Reed understood why their own operations had struggled to engage similar targets effectively. Atmospheric conditions marginal for precision work, Martinez observed, applying his technical expertise to assess the shooting environment. Wind variable, temperature gradient significant due to altitude differential. Reed nodded, understanding that they were about to observe someone attempt precision shooting under conditions that their own training would categorize as challenging to prohibitive. The outcome would provide significant insight into the capabilities they'd been tracking. The shot, when it came, demonstrated technical competence that exceeded Reed's expectations. Despite environmental conditions that would challenge experienced military marksmen, the distant operator achieved what appeared to be precise target engagement at a range that required exceptional skill and equipment. Target down. Martinez confirmed through his spotting equipment. Clean engagement, immediate incapacitation. Reed watched the distant figure conduct post-engagement procedures with the same methodical efficiency demonstrated throughout the operation. Equipment was secured, position was vacated, and movement away from the engagement area followed tactical protocols that suggested thorough training in precision shooting operations. Second target acquired, Jackson reported, indicating another Taliban position that had become visible following the elimination of the patrol. Elevated position, approximately 800 meters from shooter location. Reed observed the tactical situation developing as the unknown operator identified and engaged a second target that represented a different set of technical challenges. The range had increased, environmental conditions remained difficult, and the target position required precise calculation of trajectory and atmospheric effects. The second shot confirmed Reed's assessment that they were observing capabilities that exceeded standard military training. The technical requirements of consecutive precision shots under challenging conditions demanded skills that represented either exceptional individual development or access to training programs beyond conventional military education. Both targets eliminated, Martinez confirmed after systematic observation of the engagement area. Tactical situations secured. No additional hostile activity visible. Reed watched the distant operator complete post-engagement procedures and begin movement away from the area with tactical awareness that demonstrated understanding of security protocols and threat assessment. The entire operation had been conducted with professional competence that earned Reed's respect as a special operations veteran. Assessment. Reed asked quietly, seeking his team's professional evaluation of the capabilities they'd witnessed. Martinez considered the question carefully before responding. Shooting skills exceed standard military training. Equipment utilization suggests advanced technical education. Tactical procedures indicate comprehensive operational experience. Jackson added his observation from a security perspective. Movement patterns and situational awareness suggest training in independent operations. Comfortable operating alone in hostile territory without support elements. Reed processed their assessments while considering the mission implications of confirming that someone with exceptional capabilities was operating in their area. The intelligence reports had been accurate, but direct observation revealed skills that exceeded even their analytical expectations. Decision point, Reed said quietly, addressing the tactical choice that their mission parameters had anticipated. Command wants positive identification and potential contact if situation permits. The decision carried significant implications. Attempting contact could provide valuable intelligence and potential coordination opportunities, but it could also compromise their observation mission or create complications if the individual proved unwilling to coordinate with official operations. Reed evaluated their tactical position, the demonstrated capabilities of the unknown operator, and the potential benefits and risks of direct engagement. His team was positioned to attempt contact, but success would depend on factors that remained unknown. Martinez, you have the technical expertise to establish credibility, Reed decided. Jackson, you maintain security overwatch. We attempt contact using precision shooting recognition signals. The plan represented standard procedure for establishing communication with unknown military personnel when direct approach might be compromised by tactical considerations. Martinez would use his spotting scope to signal recognition of professional capabilities, potentially opening communication with someone whose skills had earned their respect. Reed understood that the next few minutes would determine whether the legend that Rangers discussed in hushed conversations would translate into operational coordination that could enhance their tactical capabilities, or whether their mission would conclude with continued mystery about someone whose abilities exceeded their own. The moment of contact was approaching, and Reed prepared for an encounter that would either answer the questions that had been developing for weeks, or create new complications in an operational environment that had already proven more complex than initial intelligence had suggested. In the mountains of Afghanistan, special operations professionals were about to engage directly with capabilities that challenged their understanding of individual tactical potential, with outcomes that would influence operational decisions affecting strategic objectives throughout their area of responsibility. The recognition signal came in the form of precise scope flash patterns that Martinez executed according to established protocols for communicating with unknown military personnel. 3 deliberate flashes, pause, 2 flashes, pause, single flash. The sequence identified them as friendly special operations and requested acknowledgement from the distant operator. Captain Reed watched through his binoculars as the figure on the far ridgeline paused, then responded with the correct countersignal. 3 flashes, pause, 3 flashes, pause, 2 flashes. Military recognition confirmed. Willingness to communicate established. Contact confirmed, Reed reported quietly to his team. Professional response indicates military training and familiarity with communication protocols. The next phase required more complex signaling to establish meeting parameters. Martinez used his scope to indicate a neutral position between their locations, while requesting confirmation of peaceful intentions and coordination willingness. The process took several minutes of careful signal exchange. Response indicates agreement to limited contact, Martinez reported after interpreting the return signals. Neutral ground meeting, security protocols acknowledged. Reed made the tactical decision to approach personally, leaving his team in overwatch positions to provide security and communication support. The meeting would be conducted according to standard protocols for contact with unknown friendly personnel, but the demonstrated capabilities required additional caution. The neutral position was a rocky outcropping that provided visibility for both parties while offering tactical advantages for security and withdrawal if the situation became complicated. Reed approached with weapons visible but non-threatening, following established procedures for military professional contact. The individual who met him there challenged every assumption Reed had formed during weeks of intelligence analysis and tactical observation. She was a woman in her late 20s, carrying equipment that confirmed the technical assessments, but presenting herself with professional confidence that immediately established credibility. Captain Elena Vasquez, United States Army, she identified herself, providing military credentials that Reed verified through standard challenge and response protocols. Special operations, currently operating under classified tasking. Reed processed the information while maintaining tactical awareness of their exposed position. Captain Marcus Reed, Special Operations Command. We've been tracking activities in this area and need to coordinate operational parameters. Vasquez nodded with understanding that suggested she'd anticipated this contact. I've been monitoring your reconnaissance activities, Captain. My mission parameters required operational security, but coordination may be possible depending on your objectives. The conversation that followed provided Reed with answers to questions that had been developing since the first intelligence reports. Vasquez had been deployed through channels that operated above his classification level, conducting precision elimination of high-value targets that conventional operations had been unable to engage effectively. Training background? Reed asked, seeking to understand capabilities that had impressed his team of special operations veterans. Advanced marksmanship programs, environmental shooting specialization, independent operations qualification, Vasquez replied, listing credentials that explained the exceptional skills they'd observed. Additional training through programs that I'm not clear to discuss in detail. Reed understood that he was speaking with someone whose education exceeded standard military training, possibly including programs that operated at classification levels beyond his access. The capabilities made sense within that context. Equipment specifications, he continued, addressing the technical questions that Martinez would want answered. Vasquez provided general descriptions of precision shooting systems that had been modified for extreme environmental conditions and extended range capabilities. The equipment represented advancement beyond standard military issue, explaining the performance they documented. Mission coordination possibilities? Reed asked, addressing the operational questions that would determine how command would respond to this contact. Limited coordination possible within security parameters, Vasquez replied carefully. My targeting priorities align with your area objectives, but my operational methods require independence that conventional coordination might compromise. Reed appreciated both the honesty and the tactical considerations that influenced her response. Someone operating at her capability level would need freedom of action that standard military coordination might restrict. The meeting continued with detailed discussion of tactical areas where coordination could benefit both operations without compromising either mission's security requirements. Vasquez could provide intelligence on enemy activities that her position and capabilities gave her unique access to, while Reed's team could offer logistical support and communication capabilities. Intelligence sharing protocols? Reed suggested, recognizing that information exchange could benefit both operations while respecting the operational security that Vasquez's mission required. They established communication procedures that would allow limited coordination while maintaining the independence that both missions required. Vasquez would provide targeting intelligence when her position offered superior observation capabilities, while Reed's team would share tactical intelligence that could enhance her operational planning. One question that's been bothering my team, Reed said as their meeting prepared to conclude. The technical capabilities we've observed exceed standard training programs. How did you develop skills that impress special operations veterans? Vasquez smiled with the confidence of someone whose achievements have been earned through exceptional dedication and training opportunities that exceeded conventional military education. Combination of advanced programs, extensive practice under extreme conditions, and operational experience that required adapting beyond standard parameters. Reed understood that he was speaking with someone whose professional development represented the highest levels of military training and individual commitment to excellence. The capabilities they'd observed resulted from both exceptional opportunity and exceptional performance. The contact concluded with establishment of secure communication protocols and agreement on coordination parameters that would benefit both operations while respecting the security requirements that each mission demanded. Reed returned to his team with answers that would satisfy command while establishing operational relationship that could enhance their tactical effectiveness. Assessment. Martinez asked after Reed provided detailed debrief of the contact. Professional military operator with advanced training and exceptional capabilities, Reed replied. Coordination possible within specific parameters. Mission enhancement probable through limited intelligence sharing. The report Reed transmitted to command provided confirmation of the capabilities they'd been tracking, identification of the operator responsible, and recommendations for operational coordination that could benefit strategic objectives in their area. The ghost sniper that Rangers had discussed in hushed conversations was revealed to be Captain Elena Vasquez, whose training and capabilities represented the highest levels of military professional development applied to precision operations that exceeded conventional parameters. Command's response authorized limited coordination while maintaining operational security for both missions. The mysterious activities that had been creating tactical advantages throughout the region were now understood as officially sanctioned operations conducted by someone whose skills exceeded standard military capabilities. For Reed and his team, the mission provided professional respect for capabilities that represented goals worth pursuing in their own development. Vasquez had demonstrated what exceptional training and dedication could accomplish when applied to tactical challenges that demanded excellence beyond conventional requirements. The legend had become reality, and the reality exceeded the legend in professional competence and tactical significance. In the mountains of Afghanistan, exceptional individual capability was contributing to strategic objectives through precision operations that represented the highest standards of military professional excellence. The Rangers' whispered conversations about miracles had been accurate in recognizing something extraordinary. Captain Elena Vasquez was indeed a miracle of training, capability, and tactical effectiveness that reminded everyone involved why exceptional individuals could influence outcomes far beyond their numerical representation. The battlefield had revealed one of its most impressive professionals, and operational coordination would now benefit from capabilities that exceeded standard parameters while maintaining the highest standards of military professionalism and tactical excellence.